Welcome to Soulful Success by Design, the podcast for women who are done playing small, done following the rules, and ready to create success on their own terms. I'm Kendra Woods, a soul-aligned business mentor, 6'2" splenic projector, and the midwife to women's breakthroughs. For nearly a decade, I've been guiding ambitious women like you to step out of old paradigms of success and step fully into your next evolution through the art of human design, mindset, quantum energetics, and identity work. Here, we treat business like what it truly is, a sacred, creative process, a place to embody your becoming. So if you're ready to rise, ready to rewire how you think about success, and ready to lead from your soul, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Soulful Success by Design podcast, the podcast for soul-led women, entrepreneurs who are here to redefine success on their own terms. This is what I call the Redefining Success Movement, where we trade hustle for alignment, trends for timelessness, and surface-level strategy for deep, soul-rooted leadership. And in today's episode, we're exploring what it really means to be a timeless businesswoman, to lead your business from presence, purpose, and God-given identity rather than chasing timelines or trends. And you all, this conversation is deeply personal for me because it's not just something that I teach, it's how I have built my business for nearly a decade. And today I want to help you see how adopting the timeless way of leading can completely shift your business, your energy, and your results. Okay, so let's be honest. Most of us, especially as women entrepreneurs, have been conditioned to live by the clock. As you all know, my background prior to me being in the coaching industry and being an entrepreneur was in the corporate space, right? I've spent over a decade in the corporate space. And so I definitely know that I've had that conditioning in me and it sometimes pops up still again, right? Where I'm living by the clock because we're told hustle now and rest later. We're told move faster in order to keep up. We're told if you're not doing enough, then you're falling behind. And somewhere along the way, the soul of our business, the reason we started in the first place, it gets buried underneath deadlines, underneath metrics, underneath the latest trend and hacks and the endless chase for more. But here's what I've learned. That kind of growth is not sustainable. It's exhausting, it's depleting, and it leaves us disconnected from the deeper purpose that God placed on our lives. And so I started asking myself the question, what if there's a better way? I'm always asking that question. Is there a better way? Is there another way? I'm always looking at how I can evolve as a woman, how I can show up each and every day and be more and more of myself with no, conditioning, no pressure that I'm putting on myself, but just more like purely in my essence. And so I'm always asking myself that each day, is there a better way? Is there a way for this to be easier for me? And I'm always assessing every time I show up for something, okay, am I doing this from presence or am I doing this from pressure? Am I showing up to perform or am I showing up because I am moving in devotion to my present, to my purpose, right? So here's what I've discovered. A timeless businesswoman is someone who leads from inner alignment and energetic sovereignty instead of reactive urgency. She's rooted in presence. She doesn't chase timelines. She creates her own rhythm. And that has been a huge part of my journey of becoming in growth is giving myself permission to honor my own rhythm. So a timeless businesswoman, like her growth doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from showing up more deeply as who she really is. And that shift right there, it changes everything. It shifts your trajectory. It changes your perspective and how you look at your business and how you lead yourself. So when you become timeless in your business, a few things begin to happen. Time starts working for you instead of against you. You begin to expand into new levels of creativity, ease, and impact. And you magnetize opportunities because your energy feels grounded, it feels unhurried, and it feels unshakable. So you're no longer running your business from fear of falling behind, from fear of, am I ever going to make it? And you're building it instead from a place of peaceful, powerful, forward motion. And now I want to get personal with you here for a moment because I've been in this coaching space for almost a decade. And I know that the reason that I'm still here, like there's many factors, but I know one of the reasons that I'm still here, still growing, still in love with my work, still always looking for better ways that I can serve, is because I've chosen to build from timelessness. Now, if you had asked me this 5 years ago, I wouldn't have these words for you. But because I am where I am today, and because of the growth, and because I'm always reassessing myself and really leaning into what I'm noticing, I'm recognizing, oh, I've built this from timelessness. I literally started my business not, there was always that part of me that was looking at the long vision. Okay. When I started my business, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to start this and hopefully it's successful in the next year or two. I knew that I was in it for the long haul. Now, along the way, have I gotten caught up in, short term, hacks and tactics and do this and you'll create 10K in 5 days and all those things? Sure, I have. I think at somewhere along the journey, we all get sucked into that. Okay. But what I've noticed is along the way, it wasn't about me following every trend. It wasn't about me chasing the latest hack or the latest strategy. I came to a realization along the way where I was like, yeah, this is not it. Like, I'm not trying to, yes, I want my business to be successful. Yes, I want success, but I'm not trying to be like this one hit wonder, right? Where I have amazing success and then you never hear from me again. And so instead, what I recognize that I do and that I get to do is I'm aligning deeper and deeper to my mission and becoming more of who God created me to be. And I believe that's what has given me the staying power in this industry because the truth is, trends come and go, algorithms change, platforms change, programs and strategies shift. But your mission, your essence, your God-given design, that's timeless. That is absolutely timeless. So then the question becomes, so how do you begin to step into this for yourself? And on today's episode, I want to share with you three shifts that I want to invite you to start practicing. The first one is I want you to start practicing redefining what success means for you. That was like my first right out the gate when I left the corporate space and dove into my business full time. I knew that I had to create a new definition of success for myself because if I was to keep following the definition of success that the world told me, I was going to continue to lead myself into burnout, into overwhelm. I just wasn't going to be sustainable. And so then what this looks like, what it looked like for me, what I want to invite you into is to stop measuring your worth by how fast you hit a goal. And we've all been there. We have these goals that we place, that we create. I want to, have a six-figure year. I want to reach that 10K a month milestone. I want to call in 5 new clients. We all have these goals, but then what happens is you give yourself a timeline. You say, I want to do this in the next 3 months. I want to do this in the next 6 months. And maybe it doesn't happen that way. And then you begin to turn inward on yourself and doubt yourself and think, well, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe this isn't me. You know, this other entrepreneur over here, like she just created her first six figures in her business and she's only been in business for 6 months or a year. Or, oh my gosh, look at this coach over here. She's now celebrating her seven-figure business that she has. And it only took her 3 years and I'm on year number 9. And why haven't? So you go into like the doom spiral. So instead, measure your success by how deeply you're aligned with your vision, your values, and your unique design. And so this is also where, for me, human design plays a key role for me. So in 2020, so I started my business in 2016. It was in 2020 that I found, or human design found me, and I began to research and dive deep into what it meant for me to be a projector. And that was another turning point for me where I began to look at success differently. Because if you know human design, the alignment, the emotional alignment strategy for projectors is success. That's how when you feel successful as a projector, that's when you know you're in alignment. And so then again, I had to sit and think about this because human design is not saying if you're a projector and your alignment strategy is success, that's not talking about the external success. It's talking about how you feel in your body. It's talking about how you see yourself. And so that moment right there sparked another like line in the sand for me where I sat back and said, okay, wait a minute. So yeah, success can be some of these outward achievements. I get that, I hear that, but what I want to really step into and redefining how I view success is how I feel on the inside, how I feel about the progress I'm making, how I feel about how I have shown up and how I keep showing up. And so then I began to measure my success on what my personal vision was, on what my values are, and my unique design as a projector. And so it's literally creating a brand new definition for yourself around what success means and looks like for you. For me in my life, when I am able to get up in the morning and I can drive my daughter to school and we can have conversation on the way to school and we can listen to music and we can have like a moment for 20 to 25 minutes while we're driving to school. And then I can drop her off and then I can head back to the house and I can exercise and kind of just like slowly move into my day. To me, that is success for me. Now that it may be a different thing for someone else. Being able to wake up each day, like right now in the summertime, being able to, set my alarm clock a little bit later and get up and have the ability to have spaciousness in my day where I could go for a 45-minute walk. I can, after that, go jump in my pool for a little bit and swim around and cool off. I can come back in and shower and make myself breakfast and listen to a podcast. Having that spaciousness in my morning, that is success to me. And additionally, it's also success. I also feel successful when I launch a new offer or a new program or a new thing and women start signing up for it. Yeah, that feels successful too. So again, what does it look like for you? Number two, another shift that you can make to begin practicing this timeless businesswoman energy is to practice energetic spaciousness. Okay. So create intentional room in your schedule for things that nourish you. Journaling, prayer, walking, creative things. These aren't extra. They're actually a part of your business strategy because they expand your capacity. I remember I had a moment, this has been a couple of years ago, and I had spent the day journaling. I was doing some visioning work. I was meditating, I prayed, I did breath work, I did my workout that day. And I remember I took a little break and I was in the bathroom, I was washing my hands, and it occurred to me because I could hear this voice in my head saying, you haven't done any work today. You haven't really been productive. And it was like my higher self stepped in and said, Kendra, this is your work. The journaling, the meditating, the doing your exercise, sitting down and visioning, that's your work. And that was a really that was a breakthrough for me because like before that time, subconsciously I had defined work as like how productive, like my outputs, what did I put out that day? It was based on performance. And again, that was me leading from that old paradigm of what it meant to be productive and successful. And so when I had that breakthrough, I was like, oh, this is my work. Because when I give myself intentional room in my schedule, when I give myself space and space for me to have things in my schedule that nourish me, I'm able to show up in a more potent and present way. My creativity flows, my inspiration flows. It's amazing what happens when you give yourself spaciousness. And so, what led to this? There was another experience I had right before that breakthrough. I was I was taking a class and it was one around helping you to just connect deeper to your spiritual practices and things like that. And one of the things that the coach had us do was to look at our schedules. Like each day, we were to make sure that, to schedule in things in our schedule that allowed us to relax. It allowed us to make sure we were carving out time for meditation and all of our different spiritual practices. And I remember sending my schedule to her, feeling so proud, right? Because I had all these things on my schedule. I had all these client calls. I had my, spiritual things that I was going to do in the morning. And then I had all these client calls. And then I had you know, tasks that I needed to do in my business, show up on social media, post, and had an email. Like I had my schedule, my days every day were packed. And she messaged me back and she said, Kendra, where is your breathing room? She's like, when I look at your days, look at your calendar, she's like, I'm exhausted. She's like, there's something packed in every hour. And again, that was me operating from that old corporate conditioning because it was like, that's what we did. I mean, if you looked at my calendar when I was a healthcare executive, I mean, I had things packed in, meeting after meeting after meeting. And I remember days back in that time where I would think, gosh, I wish I just had some space to just, think because I was managing 6 different medical practices and they were specialty practices. And I was the one who was there to lead that business, to help them to grow their revenue, to help them locate new streams of income, to support them in, making sure they had the right employees and the right staff and all that, right? But I didn't have any space to actually sit down and do the thinking and visioning. So, anyways, my point with telling you these stories is like it was a conditioned part of me. And now I recognize that having space, white space in my calendar allows me to be more creative. It also supports me in keeping my nervous system regulated. Okay. Because when your schedule and your days are just packed back to back with things, your nervous system is on alert all day long. But when you create spaciousness in your days, it gives you an opportunity to allow your nervous system to relax, to recalibrate, right? And so this is how we step into that timeless businesswoman energy. Practice energetic spaciousness. Have days for yourself. So, like right now, my Fridays are, and it's been like this for a long time now, at least for the past, I would say, 3 years. My Fridays have been like my flow day, so to speak. Like I may have I used to when I was a co-coach in a community, I would have like one call in that community on Friday for like an hour. But then after that, like there was nothing. I do my very best to keep my Fridays completely open because that's my flow day. That is my day where I can show up and tie up some loose ends if I want to, or I could go and grab me a massage or go to the float spa Or I can just sleep in that day a little bit longer if I want to and exercise later in my day. Or I could just sit in my pajamas all day. And, like it's my day to just have that space. So, how can you practice this? How can you begin to practice some energetic spaciousness in your days? Okay, the third shift I want to share with you around stepping into this timeless businesswoman energy is moving from your frequency and not your fear. And so let's talk about this. So when urgency creeps in, when you feel like you need to rush or force something, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what would my timeless, fully aligned self choose right now? And then move from that place. And again, some deconditioning gets to happen around this too, because a lot of women entrepreneurs are moving from this energy of urgency, lack, fear, moving from shoulds, right? I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And this idea of moving from a place of presence, moving from a place of of rest is like a new concept. And let me tell you, I'm still on this journey of helping my body understand that it is okay to rest, that it's okay to pause, that it's okay to take a beat and check in with myself. This is not about going 100 miles a minute, right? It is about I want to when I envision my me moving from my frequency and my essence, I see myself just like gliding through my day. I see myself just like sashaying, through my day, through my week. I am like grounded, I'm unshakable. Nothing outside of me is pressuring me and then making me move faster than I need to. This is where I'm learning, and I want to encourage you to learn this too, to move in my own rhythm and my own pace. You don't need to rush things or force things. And oh gosh, I did this for so long, you all. Like I was just so excited about the possibilities and the potential and all the growth that gets to happen when you're an entrepreneur that there were times in my business where I was just like rushing things. I'm like, okay, let's hurry up and get it out there. Let's hurry up and get it out there. And that's such a frantic energy. And can we create results from that? Sure. You can create results from frantic energy, but the thing is it's not sustainable. And that's what I want to help you create the most is sustainability. Sustainability. And it may look like on the surface that you're moving slower, but really what you're doing is you're moving from groundedness, you're moving from your frequency, you're moving from vision. And that is timeless. So I want you to think about how you move through your day. Are you moving through your day like, oh, let me hurry up and get this done? Oh, I only have 4 hours. Let me hurry up and get this done. Yeah? Are you moving from your day like that? If you are, I want to invite you to pause and say, all right, what if I moved through my day just slower, with more intentionality, with more presence from my pure frequency? What if I handed over this energy of fear and worry about being behind? And what if I handed over this urgency and this push force energy? What if I handed that over to God and said, you know what? I'm just going to move through my day and trust that what needs to get done will get done. What would happen? What would change? So I want you to pause and consider this. Where in your business have you been letting the clock or someone else's timeline dictate your pace? And this can be really easy to do in this world that we live in of social media where you can see everybody's journey. It can be easy for you to fall into, well, gosh, like she got there And I remember I was sitting in my very first business conference, hadn't started a business yet at all. I was at the conference because the conference was about helping you to launch your business, right? Your online business. And I remember the woman that was telling her story, and she was talking about how she's had, at the time, she created a multiple six-figure business and she was well on her way to seven figures. And at that time, she had been in business for 5 years. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, that's the timeline, Kendra. You should be where 5 years from now, you should be where she is. And I didn't know any better back then, right? I didn't know any better back then. I didn't realize that I was actually setting myself up on someone else's timeline instead of my own. But as I've matured and as I've grown over this journey and as I've learned and as I've fell down and gotten myself back up again and brushed myself off and as I've, just continued to pull back the layers of conditioning to, get me closer to my essence of who I am here to be and how I'm meant to show up, I realized that, oh gosh, wait a minute. I have my own timeline I'm working with here. It's not about me trying to keep up with someone else's pace. It's about me like falling in love with my pace. Okay. So ask yourself that question. Where have you been letting the clock or someone else's timeline dictate your pace? And what would it look like to lead as the timeless businesswoman? To allow your next level to emerge, not from force, but from alignment. So this is what being a timeless businesswoman is all about. It's about building a business that's sustainable, that's soulful, and wildly impactful without burning yourself out to get there. And so, if this conversation right here that you and I are having is resonating with you and you're shaking your head, I want to invite you to join me for my Timeless Businesswoman Challenge. It's a live experience. It's over 21 days where we are going to embody this way of leading in real time. So you can create grounded momentum, grow your business with ease, and align more deeply with who you were created to be. If you want to join us on this journey and in this challenge, all you have to do is you can send me a DM over on Instagram. You can DM me the word timeless. I will get the details to you. And then additionally, in the comments or the show notes, I will put the link for you there. Okay. All right, my loves, that is all for today. Take a breath. Trust your pace and remember that you are timeless. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Soulful Success by Design. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in it, please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help me continue bringing more inspiring content your way. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Soulful Success by Design or visit my website at KendraKWoods.com for extra inspiration and resources. I appreciate you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. Until then, remember to create success from your soul and on your terms.